What does a shrinking newspaper, which lays off journalists and sells trinkets to pay the bills, have in common with government planning staff and 3 local politicians currently facing a recall petition? They are all angry at one man, Clark County Councilman David Madore. Now, who is David Madore, and what the heck did he do to generate so many negative attacks? David Madore is the founder and owner of a local high-tech manufacturing company called U.S. Digital, which employs 125 people in the local community. He is also the founder of U.S. Digital Outreach, which is a nonprofit incubator for over 40 local charities donating free business space and other services. David Madore originally became involved in the local political scene because of his successful opposition to tolling on local bridges. He spent much of his first 3 years in political office downsizing government, reducing taxes, and getting to understand all of the many details of a county government responsible for managing an area 500,000 people call home. However, David Madore has one fatal flaw. He works too hard. Recently, Clark County staff filed complaints against David Madore, charging him with a variety of crimes against bureaucracy, like David Madore shows up at our offices. David Madore asks too many questions about our job. David tries to schedule meetings with staff to better understand the work that they do. Unfortunately for David Madore, his fellow council members Stewart, Olson, and Bolt, currently facing recall for various misdeeds, including malfeasance, are also offended by David's willingness to ask questions, cut taxes, and reduce bureaucracy. Senior government staff spent $54,000 without approval of the full county council to generate a 40-page report called the Dean Report, which at $1,300 per page came to a predetermined outcome. It was a political hit piece camouflaged as an investigation. As expected, the Dean Report targeted David Madore and gave everyone else in Clark County a pass. There's always political bickering in government. We expect this. However, we also believe that local media can play a moderating role in this process, maybe even be a referee. But not this time. A local declining circulation newspaper and blog site called the Columbian has been having a rough financial time, which recently included staff layoffs. Part of their problem might stem from the fact that the editor of the paper, Lou Brancaccio, spends much of his time across the country in the warmer climate of Florida or the more urban, sophisticated center of Chicago. In order to make up for declining revenue, the Columbian also sells Chinese-made trinkets on their website, and the editor spends his time, when he is in Washington State, trying to peddle these items. This would be eccentric behavior for any normal media outlet, but the Columbian is also impressively obsessed with attacking David Madore. Roughly every 3 days, the paper produces a negative article or blog post attacking David Madore and ignoring many other local stories. In between random acts of journalism, the attacks on David Madore are relentless, endless, and exhausting, to the point that many readers and many staff are wondering why the editor and paper are so obsessed with this man. The Columbian's reporting and attacks on Madore have been personal, petty, and vicious. Ultimately, the government staff, the 3 politicians, and the Columbian are all attacking David for daring to understand, question, and challenge the math models used in creating a zoning plan for Clark County that appeared to unfairly harm rural residents. All around Washington State, I have seen how government bureaucracy thrives on making the simple complex. This is particularly true in planning departments, where most of the political scandals seem to originate in Clark County. Partly this is because complexity justifies increased government budgets, creating job security, and vindicates higher pay raises. A politician like David Madore, who actually wants to understand how government staff do their job, is perceived as a big threat. This may seem like a county staff conspiracy, but it's actually just human nature. They don't want anyone looking behind the curtain. David Madore is not perfect. He makes mistakes like everyone else. It isn't easy to be an elected official, particularly if you take your job seriously and are striving to understand the details about government policymaking. This leaves us with the bigger question: what type of politicians do we want? Rubber stamps who accept everything they are spoon-fed? Or do we want someone willing to work hard, ask questions, maybe make some mistakes, but generally try to understand the job? Do we want successful people who take the job not for the money or a career path, but out of a true desire to be a public servant? If you live in Clark County and you're one of the few people who only get your news from the Columbian, this story might be a paradigm shift for you. And I encourage you to dig deeper. Don't allow yourself to be misled. This is a simple story buried under a lot of complex noise. But what can you do about it? If you like rubber stamp politicians, then you can jump on the bandwagon and start attacking David Madore. On the other hand, if you like politicians who are willing to speak truth to power and question government bureaucracy, then you should support Madore. Or if you just want to save a journalist job in Clark County, you should start buying some Chinese trinkets.